Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear, listening into another Gamer's Thoughts discussion. And this is going to be talking about the Xbox-Bethesda Showcase. And don't worry, I will be doing a separate discussion for the Capcom Showcase. And for Sony Showcase, I may do a discussion for that. I think I'll talk about that separately too, even though that one was before the Xbox One. I don't really think I talked individually about it. I did talk about it in the Winging It podcast. And the one on this past Sunday, if you were listening in, you probably got an earful from me because of my ranting during the Xbox Showcase. So if you didn't, I'll make sure to put a link so that you can go ahead and listen to it. If you're on Anchor, you're probably going to have to copy the link and put it into your browser, or copy it and open it through YouTube if you're using your phone. On YouTube, you'll be able to just click the link directly and go right to it. So, for the games that were announced, at least the stuff that wasn't really out there, stuff that was kind of new, Redfall. Even though that was also announced. That was announced last year, I believe. It was announced last year. The game looks interesting to me. It does look like it would be a lot of fun. It's just Left 4 Dead with vampires. And as a big fan of the occult, as far as like the fantasy elements in the world that can be created with them, I am more than happy to play Redfall, which is just Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood with vampires. I'm happy to play that game. Now, whoever was playing during that the showcase was awful. Like, their aim was terrible. Like, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but their aim was, for the gameplay, their aim was horrific. Which is funny. But that's going to be day one Game Pass for console and PC. Again, that game looks like it's going to be fun. If you're not really into Left 4 Dead style games, I would avoid it, to be fully honest. I will wholeheartedly avoid it if I were you. Other games that look slightly interesting to me, but really didn't have much of a holding element for me. Pentiment was one of those. I'm looking forward to see what else comes with that game, because I don't really think I caught every detail, to be fully honest, because I had to move around a lot, so I may have missed some details. So that game didn't really catch me. As Dusk Falls, that looks like an interesting story-based game. It looks more like something you'd want to watch, or it's more like something you'd want to play with a group of people, like you're just hanging out, and it's like something you do, like instead of like doing a book club, you do this type of game as like your book for the club for like a month or so. It might sound odd to say it like that, but that's exactly what I get from that game, because it's falling in line with stuff like all the Telltale games with Life is Strange. So I can understand it feeling more like that. Forza, not really anything I care much about. Forza games always look nice. And if they do better than what Gran Turismo did with its recent launch, Microsoft wins the racing genre for a year. Big whoop. Minecraft Legends. I honestly don't know how to feel about this particular game, because this is just Cube World with Minecraft. That's all it is. And people made fun of Cube World for looking too much like Minecraft, so now Minecraft copies the game that copies its aesthetic. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be a bad game. It's just one of those where it's like, was this necessary? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I was starting to get the feeling that Mojang needs to work on something other than Minecraft. At least like 1 or 2 games that are not Minecraft. Just so that they can, see if they can do something else for one. And 2, they shouldn't just be stuck to doing one style of game. Same thing I say about 343. They need to work on something other than Halo. So, again, I don't know. The History Untold seems a lot like Civilization. At least it looks a lot like it. It may be completely different, but the way they showed it off, again, it looks a lot like freaking Civilization. So I don't know what to say about that. Sea of Thieves Season 7, really don't care, because I really didn't get into Sea of Thieves. So it's not a big deal to me. Naraka Blade Point. I think that could be interesting. I need to see a little bit more on that. That's probably something, again, I missed some information because I might have been up and about. Because I was moving around during the podcast, so I may have missed information on that. Flight Simulator, I'm not too worried about. Again, not my style of game. If people like it, cool, but it's not really my style of game. Funny that they threw in the Pelican from Halo, though. But hey, that was their option to do it. Now, Grounded, I did play as part of Game Pass preview. Grounded is a fun game. It's not as fun playing it by yourself, but if you play it with a group of friends, it's an awesome game. So that's something I think that Microsoft would do well to lean into, is to push the multiplayer and story building of that game. But the way it's structured, because the game is almost structured like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, as far as like how the story itself works out, make a definite end to the game. Have a mode where you can endlessly build and stuff and craft, but have a definite end to this game. It should have one. That's about the only critique I have for that. Fallout 76, I don't care about. Flintlock, it looked interesting. I don't know though. I think Microsoft has too many shooters. But it looked interesting. Forza 5 Hot Wheels, yeah, I really wasn't worried about that. I honestly thought that was a separate game at first. I didn't realize that was Forza. Because I was thinking that was like a Hot Wheels game that was in a vein of Mario Kart. And then you look at it as Forza, I'm like, no, why? Why not make it be a game like Mario Kart? Elder Scrolls Online, I'm not too worried about. Riot Games stuff coming to Game Pass really wasn't a big deal to me. It's nice, but it's not a huge deal. The Persona games coming to Game Pass and coming to Xbox, I'm cool with that idea. Now, I do think it's just disrespectful that you have Nintendo Switch fans out here asking for these games on that platform, because they are very long RPGs, and being able to take them on the go would be nice to do. So, Xbox gets Persona 3, 4, and 5. Oddly enough, they didn't think to do 1 and 2. It was probably because the titles are actually Shin Megami Tensei Persona 1 and then Persona 2. Persona 2 had 2 parts to it, if I remember correctly. So there were 2 separate games that made up the whole story for Persona 2. I think those would be nice to bring back. But you gotta get on Atlas to do that. People gotta get on top of their head for that. Now, Starfield. I have no negative opinion of Starfield directly, though it does look a lot like Apex Legends to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting that vibe. Maybe other people weren't, but that's the vibe I was getting, was that it was like a whole lot like Apex Legends, just with less color. I think that's my biggest problem with Starfield is from the looks of it. If you're on a bunch of different alien worlds, I understand some of them are not going to have like these bright, vibrant color palettes. But everything that they showed was dull in color. And I think that really doesn't speak to the performance that the Xbox Series S and X should have. Hell, even the Xbox One. They should be far more capable of a lot more bright color patterns. And I think that's my biggest negative thing for that game is that it looks so dull, like washed out. Like you could afford to put a little bit of brightness in there. I mean, I understand, hey, on the particular bases that they have set up, maybe the equipment doesn't have a whole lot of different bright colors and stuff. But the environments that they showed off, you mean to tell me that you got all these details, but there's so little color? There should be more color. That's my biggest issue with that. And that Todd Howard spoke for too long. I was like, bro, your conversation is adding nothing to this game. And people have been waiting, and this thing has been hyped up for a while. So we don't really give a damn about hearing you talk. What we want to see is the game in action. Want to see the worlds in action. Want to see what you can and can't do. And they kind of just left it a lot really vague. And again, to me, at least from what I could see of it, it has a bit of an Apex Legends vibe to it. Maybe better put together, hopefully. Because I'm hoping that Bethesda was able to make a new engine. Because most of the games that they have, that they've worked with that same engine for, have a lot of the same glitches in their games. So I'm hoping that they did do a fresh engine for this game from the ground up. So, because what they showed off didn't really show any issues, but there's ways to hide that type of stuff in a sizzle reel. Because you're picking the best footage that you can find, and the footage that they picked did look good. But I am so through with hearing long-winded conversations. So I again, if you listen to the Winging It podcast, I did have a decent rant that was directed toward Todd Howard. Mostly because I didn't want to hear him talking about the game when what he was saying didn't really add to what was going on. So it was like, dude, just shut up and let us see the game. Like, we don't need you talking. Like, I want the game, not you. Like, I'm fine if you say something before and after, but you don't need to give like a whole discussion that is minutes apart from what looks like an opening trailer and actual gameplay. You could have said your piece, then shown the trailer and the gameplay, and then said what you had to say afterwards. I think that was a little irritating for me personally. So my rant was a little passionate. and maybe not so work friendly either, because I said something about drop kicking him in his face. which is admittedly okay, it's mean. And I think I said something along with the lines of, I wonder how hard you'd have to kick him to drop kick him out his jacket. Again, it's mostly just irritated talk at the fact that they didn't really give us a whole lot to work with for the game, and then you hear Todd Howard's voice. So I don't actually wish the man harm, in case anybody thinks I do. And I don't hate him, as I had to clarify afterwards. That I don't actually hate Todd Howard. I just didn't like his long-winded talking. Especially when I wanted to see more of the game and more about it. And I know there's got to be somebody who's like, that's ironic, Andre, because you run on a lot Yes, I know. I know that's how I talk, and I know that's how I do my discussions, which has not been lost on me. But the overall, I think that the Xbox-Bethesda Showcase was decent. It wasn't the best one that's ever been done for either of them, but it was still decent. So, I mean, it depends on what you like in gaming, what you look forward to, because everybody's tastes are different. But I do think that they had at least a decent amount for the general consumer. If you have specified taste, they may not be your cup of tea this year, which is perfectly fine. No one should be beholden to liking what the masses like or dislike. It should all be your own personal preference anyway. But I think I am done. There's not really a whole lot more to talk about. So thank you guys very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out, everybody.